What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So we have talked quite a bit about that Giga leak that had come out that had all kinds of source code and material and internal documents from Nintendo for all different retro systems. And it was a really cool thing to see because a lot of prototype stuff got out there. But now we're starting to see some leaks around proposals, one of which seems to revolve around the GameCube, specifically the transition from the GameCube to the Wii, and it is very interesting to consider that they had thought about a portable GameCube at that time. Also, we're going to talk about the Mario 35th anniversary once again, as there was a leak. It was quickly pulled down, but now people are wondering, what's going on? Is there a big announcement coming up soon? Oh, and Bandai Namco is added again because they're not sure if an RPG would work on the Switch or if it's worth porting. We'll talk about that. As always, guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're brand new here, hit the red subscribe button down below as we head towards 500,000 subscribers. And we're going to start today with a sale that's currently going on Amazon. I'll point these out occasionally if the sales are really good, specifically for micro SD cards. Of course, you would be using for your Switch or your phone or even your camera. These are they're faster SD cards for like your DSLR cameras or anything like that. But we can go over here to the Amazon sales page because one in particular looks pretty good for the value, and that is the 256 Samsung Evo Select, and that is actually at $30. It's free shipping, and hopefully it's not sold out by the time this goes up, because the other cards that are on sale are like the 128 gig for $20, and even the 512 gigabyte card for $85. That gets a little further up there. I think that 256 at $30 is probably the best deal. And I know people tend to fill up these SD cards, especially since on the Switch, we're having a lot of publishers make you download a good chunk of the game. Sometimes you buy a game and there's not even a card in there. You get like a little code that you have to go download it. So having multiple SD cards isn't a bad idea, especially since cases now come with, of course, several slots and storage compartments for multiple SD cards, because even they know, of course, you might be swapping them out, but worth checking out if you're looking to pick up an extra card. Also, we had talked about how AT&T was looking into possibly selling and offloading Warner Bros. Interactive, their video game section essentially of Warner Bros., to see if any companies would want to buy them, and that included Rocksteady, WB Montreal, NetherRealm Studios, and it sounded like at least Activision and Take-Two and EA were all interested. They're exploring the idea of buying them, and the amount that they could apparently get for it was up to $4 billion. At least that's what they were looking for. Well, Bloomberg is now reporting that that is off the table. AT&T is going to essentially hold on to WB Interactive, which I guess is probably good. I mean, if WB Interactive went to like EA or Take-Two, we've seen, of course, how much they like those microtransactions, and I know we're looking at some things like Suicide Squad is apparently like a live service game, and Gotham Knights is kind of like that too. We have to see more about these games, but I mean, if it goes to EA, we kind of know what we're getting there, and we kind of know what we're getting from Take-Two. We've seen it in their games, so I'm actually okay with it just staying put. The only company I would have been interested to see come in and maybe buy some of the studios would have been like Microsoft, because of course could have helped bolster their first party lineup, but seems like at least for now, WB Interactive will stay where it is. Oh, and we did talk about Tokyo Game Show coming up. That was yesterday, of course. Looks like we're getting some hints towards what else could be there. You can see this tweet from Gamatsu that says Nier Replicant version 1.2247, that's as far as I'm gonna go with that, has been rated in Taiwan. Hopefully that means we'll hear more about it soon. That's for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC. So I would assume Nier Replicant will indeed be at Tokyo Game Show. Now, I didn't really get too into the Nier series. I did like Nier Automata quite a bit, so I will check this one out. But when Nier first came out here in the States, it was like on the PS3 and the 360, and it looked way different and played way different. From what I've been told, this is a remake of the first one, I guess, that was in Japan. It's kind of broken up there, and I'm not 100% sure on the Nier lore here or the history of it. I just know Nier Automata was very good, barring the issues with the PC. The PC version wasn't great, so this is coming to PC, and I'm hoping it actually is a good port. It was not great with Nier Automata. But either way, good to see it's been rated. I assume that means we will see more of it at Tokyo Game Show later this month. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. We're going to start right away with a leak that seems to be centered around the Mario 35th anniversary that is coming up this month. We also, of course, have that weird management meeting for Nintendo that's on the 16th. So there's a lot of things going on this month, and people are believing right now that there could be some word from Nintendo on games for this holiday any day now, right? It could even be today, like hours after Newswave, because of course they like to do that. Newswave goes up and then boom, some big announcement happens. But there was a leak for shoes. No, really, check this out. These are the Puma Nintendo RS Dreamers. Now look, Puma's done a couple of different collaborations. I know they did the Sonic shoes and those made a ton of sense. These Mario ones are interesting. You're seeing some screenshots of it here. The part I really like, by the way, is some of the attention to detail when it comes to inside of the shoe. On one side, it says Super Mario Bros. It looks like, then on the other, it seems to show Mario from the Super Mario 64, some of the poster art and stuff that they have, him, of course, flying around there. I like that there was that little bit of detail inside. I mean, I think the shoes, for the most part, look about what I would expect a Super Mario shoe to look like, I guess. So that is fine. I think collectors will enjoy that, but that did go up. It looked like it was captured on Foot Locker by press start, and then it was pulled down like immediately, but they managed to capture a lot of these screenshots. So, of course, people are wondering what happened here. I guess it went live early. So then when are they announcing these? Is this part of several other announcements that are all going to take place at once? Or is this just, oh, Foot Locker was supposed to have this ready to go by like next week and it just accidentally went live and like there'll be a tweet that goes out, kind of like what happened with Lego where they hyped it up on their own. Maybe Foot Locker will hype it up and then Nintendo will come in and work to push the marketing as well. We'll see there. But of course, with the expectation of the Mario 3D collection that has been rumored for quite some time. In fact, there was another rumor earlier this week that it was going to be unveiled this week. And well, it's Thursday. So unless Nintendo's announcing it today in like a shadow drop randomly, I guess there's always next week, right? But there's also something going on at Best Buy starting on the 4th, so tomorrow, check this out. This was spotted and got passed around as well. Looks like they're going to be taking some of their Mario games or themed games, which also includes Yoshi, and they're going to mark those down about $20. So I looked at this, by the way, because of course people are everyone's looking for things to connect dots to and say, oh, yep, Mario 3D Collection getting announced before this. This appears to be part of their Labor Day sale, so they might just be taking some of their different Mario games and like, oh, we'll mark these down because like Mario Odyssey isn't there, right? And that would have made sense as well. Although I guess these are mostly 2D games, so maybe that's just to work into the idea of the Mario 35th anniversary being like, older 2D games, but we're talking about a 3D collection here. Now, I don't want to get anyone's hopes up right now when it comes to this, but Nintendo would have to start announcing this thing fairly soon if it is going to happen this year, because we're into September now, and if it's going to launch, say, in November, they probably want to give a solid 60-day run-up for pre-orders and stores and retail to get this all figured out with marketing. So I guess, hopefully look out for Mario 3D Collection anytime now. Hey, like I said, if I talk about it in Newswave, sometimes Nintendo just likes to surprise us a few hours later so that it can be outdated right away. Next up, let's talk about some more leaks that appear to be coming out from that GigaLeak. Do you remember we talked about this? And again, a bunch of source codes, all kinds of things came out, and people are still going through it. But some really cool discoveries were made with prototypes and things that we had never seen before in games that we have played hundreds of times now, right? Older games, some newer games even, but check this out. This is a thread that put a lot of this stuff together on Twitter from Luigi's Blood. They said Pokemon Emerald source code and a bunch of GameCube Wii stuff. Now, that means, of course, the Pokemon Emerald source code's out there. People can do all kinds of stuff to it for ROM hacks and all of that. So if you were someone wondering about the Pokemon games that were getting put out there, we've talked about that before. There we go. Pokemon Emerald appears to be out there now. But to go a bit further, there was a proposal for a GameCube portable with a dock to connect it to the TV. This was something that was rumored a while ago. In fact, Engadget had an entire write-up about a GameCube portable back in like 2006. And There's even a dock that they had set up for it with GameCube controller ports, SD card, and GameCube memory card slot, AV out, an optional TV tuner, all this stuff. And they even have full diagrams, and they show the batteries that they would have figured out there. Now, the batteries don't look very large, I guess, for the GameCube itself, unless they had another design figured out, but that would not have lasted very long. Could be why they decided not to go with it. Maybe they tried it and they were like, this thing lasts like an hour or two. We're not putting a Game Gear out there. Now, one other interesting thing in this thread is there's a proposal for Taco. That's the successor to Dolphin, which is the GameCube, when it was still about power and not the Wii. Boasts about power being as good as PlayStation 3, Xbox 2, or Xbox 360 because they didn't know the name of the 360 at the time. And then the HD TV support and seamless compatibility with Nintendo portables. Okay, let's go back in time here. You're sitting at the table. All these proposals are in front of you. One of them is the Wii. One of them is this more powerful GameCube, the GameCube 2, if you will, and it could have competed with the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 straight up when it comes to power. Which way would you have gone? Because, I mean, I probably would have gone with the GameCube 2. That's me. I mean, the Wii itself was a crazy idea, I'm sure, at the time. It started out as like a peripheral for the GameCube. But what if they really did do that more powerful system? It would have cost more. The Wii came out at a cheaper price, right? It was $250 sitting next to that $600 PlayStation 3. But the idea that they could have maybe done a portable GameCube back in like 06 alongside of this more powerful GameCube 2, what kind of timeline would that have been, right? That would have been crazy. I think I would have liked that though. That would have been really, really fun to see how those games could have turned out then. And maybe Nintendo would have continued on with the idea of their systems being powerful, and who knows? Although we wouldn't have got something like the Wii, which ended up being this big phenomenon and something that even Microsoft and Sony took notice of trying to do their own versions with the Move and the Kinect. And well, it certainly shaped Nintendo going into 2017 with the Switch being a hybrid. There's a good chance they wouldn't have come up with that if they hadn't have done things like the Wii and broken away from the traditional home console. But it's always fun to imagine what could have been. Next up, let's talk about Bandai Namco and Dot Hack Last Recode. It's a collection for the Dot Hack GU series that did pretty well, I think. It came out on the PlayStation 4 and on Steam, and a lot of people who enjoyed the Dot Hack series got a kick out of the collection. CyberConnect 2 did the port, and people were wondering if it would come to the Switch at some point, mostly because the Switch is a very convenient system when it comes to RPGs. I'm sure a lot of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You might be playing an RPG like Dragon Quest XI-S on the go and grinding up levels when you can. You put in the sleep mode for the Switch, and it works really well to wake up and go back to sleep if you have just a few minutes to play a battle or two. Or of course, when you're just kind of hanging out, maybe you're watching TV and you have the Switch on in portal mode, works very, very well for RPGs. So it's kind of a head scratcher when you hear Bandai Namco unsure if it's worth porting over to the hybrid system. In a fan Q&A, CyberConnect 2 was asked about this. Frankly speaking, we'd love to do that. We have proposed the idea to Bandai Namco Entertainment several times, but their response was that it's hard to predict the cost of porting and the sales prospects. For this reason, we were told that they were not able to make it happen, and as a result, we haven't been able to. They go on further to say, oh, contact Bandai Namco, tell them you want Dot Hack GU, but this keeps happening, and it keeps like making me wonder why Bandai doesn't look at the Switch and go, well, let's see what it would take to do it. Maybe they have, and they were trying to figure out if the cost versus Dot Hack overall being popular enough to sell. I don't think they put Dot Hack GU Last Recode out there and was like, this is a 10 million unit seller, right? They of course put it on the PlayStation 4 because it has the largest install base, and then they put it on Steam. Steam is massive too, right? Like Steam is huge, and I guess it makes sense for those two systems, but things have changed since that game came out, and the Switch has completely taken off. It's overtaken Japan completely, there's no question. And I do wonder if they're concerned about doing a physical copy of it, even if they just did it digitally and put it on the eShop, if they would be able to get their money back that way. I don't know if it's as much a thing about the Switch, the install base, or anything like that, more or less about the Dot Hack brand being strong enough to push it, but like, Bandai, look at what's going on the Switch. You have to really be like, well, it's probably worth doing. There's enough people there. RPGs sell on the Switch. So yes, Dot Hack, I think should go to the Switch. It makes a lot of sense, so maybe Bandai should get on that one and stop asking if it's worth porting things over. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about the PlayStation 5 CPU and how much of a jump it is from the PlayStation 4 Jaguar cores. This is something that's not talked about as much, mostly because the conversation centers around, of course, teraflops and how fast the SSD is and 3D audio and all of this, ray tracing. But we don't talk about that CPU as much, and it might be kind of hard to really look at it and go, okay, that's an 8-core CPU, that's an 8-core CPU. All right, looks about the same, right? But check this out. This was a good benchmark that was made up, and you can see it here. This is from Red Gaming Tech on YouTube, and it shows a fairly sizable leap in terms of processing power, going from the Jaguar CPU that's in the PS4 to the Zen 2 in the PS5. It's a 4 times jump minimum. And this, of course, is going to be even more considering the Tempest engine, of course, in the PlayStation 5 has its own hardware that's dedicated to audio, which is something that the Jaguar cores would have to account for in the PlayStation 4 or even in the Xbox One itself. So going from there to these Zen 2s in the PlayStation 5 will be even more of a leap compared to what's shown in these charts. Now, we're not going to really be able to tell how much of a difference it makes until these developers start taking advantage of it, because we would have to see some like massive open world style games with complex AI and all this crazy stuff. And to be honest, it's really going to come down to first-party studios from Sony in the first year to year and a half, because you will still see games developed for the PlayStation 4 because its install base is just so large, you really can't ignore it. So hopefully Sony continues to push PS5s and that builds up a large install base so we can see what the system can really do. But hey, I'm looking forward to not having a massive weak spot in these systems, right? Even like the PlayStation 5, people are talking about how it's like, oh, the GPU has to move so much in terms of its frequency to keep up with the Series X, but like, I look at these systems right now, we have fast storage, right? Like very fast SSDs. We have a ton of RAM in these systems right now, GDDR6 even. We have a good CPU, good GPU. It just, overall, it looks much more even across the field compared to before where it's like we're just strapping these massive GPUs to these terrible CPUs from like a laptop. So very excited going into next generation. We just need to see a bit more information about pricing, release date, and hopefully some more games that we can play at launch. And we'll finish up with a comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Jupiter. As long as these prices hold and the cards are actually available, I should be able to build a beast of a gaming machine for around $1,500 or so. Now I just have to figure out how to not be flat broke. So the first thing I would do is hope, like really hope, that AMD has their next series of CPUs, the Ryzen 4000 series, actually ready to go this year. Like they're going to show them, they'll release them. There were rumors that they were going to push them off. Then there were some recently that said, oh no, they're still going to show them. We're still waiting for RDNA 2 to be shown off by them. And after what NVIDIA did, it's going to be tough. But they, of course, AMD creates some awesome CPUs. So if they do that and they have a release ready to go this year, what you're going to want to do is look around for all of those 3000 Ryzen chips that just start dropping online, like the Ryzen 7 3000 series. I mean, those are still great CPUs for content creation and of course for gaming. So like that's a great spot. You could probably pick one of those up cheap and then you can kind of deal with the RAM. RAM's come down in price now. Really, at the end of it, the most expensive part should be that GPU, but of course you can go crazy. You could probably get everything under 1200 with something like an RTX 3080. It's still expensive, but see if you can save where you can with something like that CPU. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today, whether it's these leaks around the GameCube possibly of being more powerful back in the day, instead they went the route with the Wii, and I mean, it worked out for them, but would you have liked to have seen them attempt a portable GameCube alongside of a GameCube 2 that's like as powerful as the PlayStation 3 or the Xbox 360? Let me know about that down below. And then these shoes leak out. We're hearing more and more rumors about the Mario 3D collection. Is it finally time to see this rumored Mario 3D collection, or do you think it just doesn't exist and we're rolling into the holidays with what we have now from Nintendo? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.